Howdy guys. So this video is just going to be my general thoughts and more of like a movie review. Obviously the movie was just released yesterday, so it is still in theaters. You gotta buy tickets to watch and whatnot, so I'm not gonna sit here and put the entire movie available to see for free in my reaction when no. So I'm gonna wait a little while until the movie's released and maybe put on streaming platforms or something like that, and then I'll put my actual reaction to the movie out. But for now, this is just going to be my general thoughts on a combination of my thoughts immediately after watching the video, as well as thoughts I had after watching the Q&A session, and then having time to process and think of more things. So that is pretty much just the general outlook for this video. So heavy spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the video, go away. Or if you don't care about spoilers, stay. Either way, just click like, subscribe, all that good jazz, and I'll see you guys later. Mwah. Howdy friends. So it is the next day. I had time to just process and marinate and let the movie sink in, and also after I recorded my initial reaction, I went back. Well, I didn't go back. I immediately jumped into the live Q&A session and I watched that, and there were so many things that either people in the Q&A session touched on or just things that I remembered after the fact that were triggered by things that I heard in the Q&A that I don't think I mentioned in my Topher's thoughts after the thing. So I just grabbed whatever paper I had next to me and just started writing things. So I had lots of things that I needed to touch on. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to do a little additional add-on to whatever I said there. So I'll probably splice some of this into my Topher's thoughts at the end, and whatnot. Okay, so I survived. I made it through the movie with my feelings mostly intact. All in all, it's just such a good movie, such a good experience, a good addition to the Gameboys universe, and it set up a good, it was a great interlude between where season 1 left off and set up a good introduction to where season 2 can start. And because, like I mentioned in a couple of my more recent reactions to series like Why Love Why and a couple other series that either ended recently or ended in quarantine and are potentially coming back for second seasons, or have already started second seasons. I'm curious how these shows are planning to take the series and where they're planning to take the relationship with these characters, because the first seasons were all about getting these characters together in the midst of quarantine and whatnot, and now it's like, okay, they're together, now we have to keep them together. That's my general outlook on a lot of these series who are coming back for second seasons. So that was my overall thought process about where the second season of Gameboys could be, because it left us in such a good, season 1 left us in such a good place for them as a couple. Like, yes, we knew that Kai eventually had to go back home, or had to go with his mama, so yeah, that was a point. But then we got this additional backstory with Gav, which I wasn't expecting us to get, and a lot of things just make so much sense. Yeah, I'm gonna scroll back to the movie and just see if I can remember lots, because it wasn't a terribly long movie, but I'm used to pausing mid-episode or whatnot and giving thoughts or whatever, or so here it's just a lot for me to remember all at once. But it started, the first 15-20 minutes of the movie were just, well, call it more like the first 30 minutes ish, just the cutest thing ever. It's Gav and Kai right where we left them off, just all the romantic feels, them living together and playing house. They were just doing laundry, cooking together, and just hanging out, playing games, doing Kai's, broadcasts and all that kind of stuff. And it's just super cute, super adorable, super sweet, 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 sweetness. And then we had, the infamous scene from the preview that we got, let's give them a show. We had that whole little scene, and I don't know why it surprised me. I don't know why I thought that I was gonna get a sex scene at that particular point. I should know better, because I've gotten good at calling these, in a bunch of reactions that I've done. I've gotten good at calling when I'm about to be punked or when I'm about to be faked out, when a moment's about to be interrupted. I've gotten good at calling that. So I don't know why I didn't call that moment in my head. I guess the preview just got me all worked up and I was just expecting it. But seeing it as how early it came in the movie, I should have known better. I should have known better. So we got the doorbell. But it's a good thing that, Terrence did show up there, because you could see a little bit of panic in Kai's face. And obviously when the doorbell rang and he was all about, oh, someone's at the door, we got to check the doorbell. Obviously that was him taking the opportunity to escape, because he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to move forward with the sexy time. Y'all, let me tell you, these kisses were so damn passionate and deep. And when I say deep, I mean, I'm not talking tongue or nothing like that. I'm just talking about the way that they used their lips, the technique. They were just in. They were in these kisses. They weren't just little mwah, mwah, mwah. Nah. They were in on these. I've watched a number of series on this channel. I've watched a number of series in life in general. I've seen a lot of people kissing. But especially in these BL series, I've seen an abundance of man-on-man, lip-on-lip action. And sometimes I get swept away just because the moment, it feels right. We built up to it. And yes, God, praise Jesus. But then when I actually look at the kiss itself, I'm like, maybe we can take y'all to kissing school or something. The moment feels beautiful, wonderful, and right, but the actual kiss itself is we're looking like two pieces of French toast just pecking at each other right now. So but other times, the kissing, it feels real, and I'm just yes, y'all better kiss. Y'all better make me feel some type of way. Y'all better make me clutch my pearls. Praise Jesus. And I have no shame in commenting and shouting it to the heavens. Especially when y'all start grabbing back of necks and running fingers through hair and just grabbing faces, and I'm oh, y'all better give me these good kisses. Give me these good kisses. Praise Jesus. So yes, this movie, this scene, these two know how to kiss. I feel like they've worked up, they've practiced enough. First we started off just online, then we had the little plastic thing in between, and then we had, the final in 13. They've worked up, they've practiced, they have expertly crafted their kisses, and they were just so deep. You could just see Gav ready to just eat Kaya. Kaya was ready to just devour Gav, and I'm y'all better kiss like you mean it. Literally some of the best kissing I've seen on this channel. I haven't mentioned it before. I've been kind of keeping it under wraps while I figure out the logistics of it in my head, but I guess I might as well say it now anyway. But I've been planning a number of top 5, top 10 lists for BL series that I've been reacting to this year specifically. And one was going to be the top 10 BL kisses that I've seen this year. And y'all, this might be a contender. Episode 13 was already a contender, but now these kisses are giving me something that they got too damn good kisses. The whole list might end up being Gameboys. I don't know, but yeah, those are some good kisses. Praise Jesus. Even though Gav was sitting there hypnotizing all of us with his eyes and trying to get us to just give it up, Kai wasn't ready yet. So it's a good thing Terrence did show up. And what I loved about that whole initial interaction with Terrence after he seemed to sober up when he was having the nightmare about coming out to his parents, which I'm still not sure yet if he did officially come out to his parents and he's having they had a bad reaction, he's wallowing in self-pity, or if he's afraid of coming out to them and this is just him dealing with crippling fear. I don't know. I'm assuming in the series we're gonna explore that a little bit more. But yeah, I loved how at this point in Kai and Gav's relationship, we've moved past all of those anger, jealousy kind of feelings to a certain degree. Because Kai was very just understanding, like, hey, I know what you're going through and it'll be okay. Just comforting him and lay your head on my shoulder here, I'll, comfort you, whatnot. And you could just see Gav looking at him like he's so proud, like, that's my baby. That's my baby. Just being amazing, being an amazing person. So I love that set of interactions between Gav and Kai, and that they can, or not Gav and Kai and Terrence, and that they had just made it to this level where they can be comfortable like that and friendly, cordial and friendly. And Kai was seeing something in Terrence that he remembered. He remembered that feeling. He was seeing something in him that, when you're going through those kind of emotions as a closeted, whatever it may be, homosexual, bisexual, trisexual, transgender, whatever it is you feel like you need to keep hidden and secret from the world, when you're living that sort of closeted life and you start considering, living your life out in the public, but you have those reservations about what the people who are in your life will think, whether they'll judge you, how they'll react, blah, blah, blah. It can get a little overwhelming. And even though you might have the best family in the world, best support system, still that doesn't stop you from feeling that sort of level of, oh, what if things change between us? Oh, what if they don't love me anymore? What if they don't want to be my family? What if they disown me? Blah, 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 blah. So, it was nice that Kai could empathize with Terrence and just be there for him. Just be that shoulder that he can cry on, and that, that supporting arm to give him a hug and just be there and support him. Very, very sweet. Then we got the introduction to Tita Susan, which I remember from when I reacted to the initial preview or trailer, whatever, months back, or on Gameboys Day. I was kind of, defending her, not really defending her, but a lot of people, when they reacted to the trailer or they saw the trailer online, they were jumping down Susan's throat. They were sending her fictional character death threats, and they were ready to cut her and beat her down. And I was sitting here just taking it from, I like to take things from both perspectives and try to understand what makes people work, what makes people tick, what makes them think the way they think, and I just try to empathize. Sometimes I'm very good at empathizing with people, other times people are beyond reach. So when I reacted to the trailer originally, the impression I was getting with Susan was that, yeah, she's an older generation, and she probably had some sort of, religious background to her, which is why she was, kind of against the whole gay thing to a certain degree. So I was kind of not really cutting her slack, but again, just kind of rationalizing, empathizing where she's coming from, where her mindset is, and some of from what they were showing us in the preview, like when she was like, oh, well, what's the point of your relationship? You guys are just playing house. Like, I took that to mean, when I was reacting before I saw the movie, I took that to mean more she's just looking at these two guys, just playing around, playing house, because she knew that Kai had to leave at some point. But seeing it in the context of the film, where she's like, you guys can't even get married, and you're going to be leaving, and just all the things that she was saying all throughout. Because, I know this kind of person. I know this person who is, and it's not anything against people who are religious or people who have faith or anything like that. I know so many people who have such strong moral convictions or have such strong faith in whatever religion they practice, but they're still accepting of people. They're still accepting of people's flaws, their choices. Not that being gay is a flaw, ain't no flaw in that. But they're accepting of people. They don't they live their life without the judgment. Their faith doesn't dictate how they necessarily feel about other people. Their faith helps them lead their lives in, you know, whatever way they want to lead, but it doesn't cause them to spread hate and negativity like that. So I know this type of person that Susan is, who uses their faith or their religion as a catalyst for hatred, who uses it as a means of perpetuating this sort of negative stereotype. And that's another thing that was getting on me. Like, the more I saw the Susan character develop, and the more that we spent time with her, the more negative things I saw about her that I didn't like, and I was less inclined to try and empathize with her, and more inclined to jump on the bandwagon of, let's cut her. Let me get my knife and let's cut her. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave Susan alone. She's a fictional character, but I know this character in real life. Like, I don't have any connections with anyone like that in my life now, because I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that nonsense. But I know these people. I know they exist, and I know these people. But yes, seeing her in the actual context of the movie and all of the things that she was saying, all of the negative, just little digs. And it's like, you know, she's not blind. She can see things. Like, she could see the way that Gav and Kai are interacting with each other. She could see, you know, them washing the car. She could see all kinds of things. And rather than talking about it like an adult, or rather than saying like, hey, I think what you guys are doing is wrong, even if it's not wrong, but whatever, rather than, you know, just talking like an adult, she chose to make a lot of petty, underhanded, or, you know, undercover jabs, undercover digs at them and just all homosexuals, talking about how it's disgusting and they're doing disgusting things up in that room, and I'm smelling something fishy and blah 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 blah, multiple occasions. And it's just like, lady. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for this. I don't have the time for this. So finally, Kai, he got upset. He got, and rightfully so, because it's like, the last thing I'm gonna, like, I could see where Kai was coming from in the beginning when Susan first got there, because we spent all this time with Gav trying to woo Kai and trying to, you know, get Kai to open up to him and be, you know, live his life out and proud. And we finally made it to this point. And now we've got this woman coming into the picture who's making Gav retreat in his shell and almost hide his relationship with Kai. And Kai's like, I don't want to be hidden. I don't want to be hidden. But you know what? I love you and I understand where you're coming from. So friend, I will play along with this for now. But it comes to a certain point when you can't play along anymore, because they're coming for you. Literally, like, they are literally coming for your life right now. And it's like, you know what? Do not come for me. Do not come for me unless I send for you. And I did not send for you. You showed up uninvited, okay? So don't come for me. Don't come up. I mean, it's not my house. It's his house, or it's his grandma's house or whatever. So I can't say don't come in my house and come for me. But still, don't come in my house and come for me, okay? Like, Lord. So, like, she was just slinging negative insult after insult after insult, and Kai just got to the point where he's like, you know what? And he wasn't even making it about him or Gav. He's just like, you know what? What's wrong with people being gay? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? And, you know, she's saying, oh, you know, there's nothing. I even know a couple of them. There's so much fun, and all these stereotypical gay things. Oh, whenever I need my nails done or my makeup done or whatever. It's like, girl, gays aren't just your fashion stylist, okay? We're people too. Not all the gays are good at fashion and nails and all that kind of stuff. That's not all we're good for. Heaven knows I know too many who ain't got no kind of taste in fashion, but that's beside the point. Yeah, and then when it came to Susan, like, there's so many, like I mentioned, there's so many things about her that I saw in this movie that made me dislike the character even more. That where in my initial reaction to the trailer, I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt and try to see things from her side. But, like, yeah, that whole taking Gav to church when he was a kid to pray the gay away mentality, like, I get it. I get that's a thing. I get that's still a thing. I get that's a thing in a lot of places all over the world where they feel like being gay is a choice, or it's, you know, something that can be changed, it's something that can be fixed, you know. And it's like that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's not a birth defect. It's not something that we're just gonna pray to God and he's, look, God made me this way, okay? So like Kai was saying, don't use God's name to perpetuate your hate. Like, no, that's not living in his image. That's not what he wants. Like, no, don't bring all that nonsense. Don't bring all that noise here. So yeah, that whole, you know, take him to church, pray the gay way kind of thing. And then that was the first instance, at least that I remember, seeing Gav have that sort of out of body experience where, you know, all the audio started to feel very far away from him and he was in his own world, and, you know, he was getting very, very just physically upset and internalizing all of these feelings. But hearing all of the conversations about how Susan would talk to his grandmother about, oh, it's just a phase, and how, you know, the family has been praying that, you know, they were worried that he was going to grow up gay because he grew up with a lot of female friends, and, you know, he was such a sissy. And I'm like, all that kind of mentality. I'm like, you know what, you need to get the hell up out of here. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. Because, like, and I agree with everything Kai was saying in the moment. Like, I've already said it, but everything Kai was saying in the moment, I agree with 100%, because it's just like, even if he was gay, what's wrong with it? And she had, like, Susan had this weird sort of double standard view about it, where, like, yeah, she's like, oh, well, as soon as Kai addressed, like, you know, well, what's wrong if you did grow up gay? And she's like, oh, well, don't get me wrong, like, I have gay friends at church, and, you know, they're so much fun when I need to get my makeup done or get my nails done, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like one of those thought processes where it's like, oh yeah, I love the gays. The gays are totally fine as long as they're not my family. And it's like, it reminds me of that mentality of people who are like, oh, I'm not racist, my friend is black. Where it's like, okay, that's not enough to, like, it's this weird mentality some people have where it's like, oh, I'm not homophobic because I have these people at church who are gay who are really, really cool. Or I'm not racist because I have friends who are black or who are this. Or I'm not sexist because I talk to women, or, you know, whatever it may be. And it's like, that's not how the world works. That's not how this works. Like, that's not how any of this works.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Like, just because you like getting your nails done with gay guys doesn't make you any less homophobic. Like, you're still sitting here spouting out all this hate. You're still sitting here saying how you're hoping that your nephew, cousin, whatever Gav is to you at this point, I don't know, because you're some cousin of someone's mom, I don't know, you're some weird distant relative. Whatever Gav is to you at this point, like, you're saying how you wish he wouldn't grow up gay, how he wasn't gay, and how it's disgusting, and all this is disgusting what they're doing, it's awful, it's a sin, it's affront to God, blah, 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 all this other nonsense. But on the same token, you're sitting here like, oh yeah, the gays are fine, whatever, they're blah, blah, blah. When we're socializing and getting stuff done, like, no, you can't say one thing at 1 minute and say a completely different thing at a different minute when it applies to somebody you know. Like, no, you gotta pick a side. Like, this is not one of those times where you can get the best of both worlds. Like, no, this ain't Hannah Montana. You gotta, either you despise the gays and you want them all to get fixed or whatever, or you love the gays. Or, you know, you're indifferent, they don't matter anything to you, whatever. But, like, you can't just play this both sides of the fence where, like, oh yeah, they're totally fine, don't get me wrong, everyone's fine, because you're being called out. Oh yeah, they're totally completely fine, they're so cool to hang out with and whatnot. But on the same token, same breath be like they're disgusting and blah blah blah. Like no. You got to pick your battle. What side of the fence are you gonna play? I don't play that whole double side of fence, double standard thing. It's like I'm saying, it just reminds me of that whole mentality of I'm not racist, my friend is black, but at the same time you may make all kinds of racist comments to other races. Just because you have an ethnic friend doesn't mean that you're not incredibly racist. I got family members. I got all kinds of family members who married into the family, or not necessarily of ethnic origin and whatnot, but who are obviously accepting of me at the moment, and accepting of other family members I have, but that doesn't stop them from making terribly racist remarks in regards to other races. Doesn't stop them from making terribly closed-minded remarks about other social groups and other, like, it's just because you can claim to have a friend who is this or a friend, that is not an all access pass. That is not a get out of jail free card for you to spread your negativity and your prejudice. Okay, Susan, ain't got time for it. Like, he finally just had enough, and he's like I tried to be respectful to you because you're older and you're Gav's aunt, you're his family, but I only respect people who respect me. And right now you are being very disrespectful. And she's like, partially a culture thing, because I've had a lot of you guys in the comments explain sort of like the hierarchy in the family life and how him saying these sort of things is disrespectful, and I get it. So sort of partially a cultural thing, but also just kind of a generational thing, which I think kind of transcends just the Filipino culture, where yes, she's an elder, she's older than you, and just kind of expected to treat with a certain level of respect. But like that older elder generation just kind of thinks respect is I say things and you listen to what I say. No talking back, no interjection. What I say goes and you listen to what I say. So even if what they're saying is wrong and you're informing them of what they're saying is wrong, no corrections. I'm the adult, I'm the old one, I'm right, you're wrong. So any kind of word otherwise is disrespect. And honestly, in my head, that's bullshit. I ain't got time for it. Rude. Because I don't care what age. I don't care if you're older, younger, whatever. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you've got wrong views, you've got wrong views. And I'm gonna tell you, okay? I don't care whose family you are. I don't care how old you are, whatever. You want to call me disrespectful, fine. But just like Kai said, I respect people who respect me. So if you're going to come up in my face with all this kind of disrespect about me, about my culture, about my family, about my sexuality, whatever it is, then you know what? I'm going to come for you. Okay? So then Kai, or Gav, he also reached that boiling point of where he had enough. And then another thing she mentioned was that their relationship wasn't going anywhere because they can't get married. And like, for me, that is one of those very sort of closed-minded heterosexual mentality. It's not saying that this is a mindset that all heterosexual people have. This is a closed-minded heterosexual mentality where they're like, oh, well, your relationship isn't valid, or you can't do anything because you can't get married. And it's like, well, getting married is not the goal. It's not the end goal for all couples. Gay, straight, bi, tri, polyamorous, whatever it may be. Getting married is not everybody's goal. Some people just want to exist with their partner. Some people are happy just being partners, being together, living together, and whatnot. Not everybody wants to get married. Not everybody wants to make it this legal thing. That's not everyone's end game. And then there are so many people who get married whose relationships are shit. Like Gav was pointing out to her, like, look at your marriage, look at your life, woman. Like, You had your husband who went out and cheated on you. You got your son who's out there knocking up women and then running off. So like, just because y'all is straight and y'all got married, that don't mean that y'all's life ain't a hot ass mess, okay? So who are you to come up into this house and judge me and my relationship that's working beautifully right now when y'all's relationship over there is shit? Like, just because you're straight and you can get married doesn't mean that your relationship is perfect, because there are a lot of people out there who are married who aren't happy. A lot of people out there who are married who are worse off than people who can't be married. So like, it's just one of those mentalities where I don't understand it, where they think that being married and being straight is equivalent to happiness, where it's just not. It's not. Like, it has nothing to do with it. Live your life, live your truth, and whatever. But like, being married does not automatically equal happiness, or does not automatically equal relationship health. The two things are not synonymous. Maybe they can work together to, being married can, bring health and happiness to your relationship, sure. But the two things are not synonymous. So being in a successful relationship does not mean being married. Being married does not mean that you have a successful relationship. Two things are not synonymous. So Susan, you gotta figure out some stuff there. And what I liked about how they were dealing with Gav's emotions in this is, and this is one way that I kind of relate to Gav in a sense. Gav, he doesn't seem to, like conflict, which is okay, cool. Me too. I don't like conflict. If it has to happen, it has to happen. But, if it can be avoided, let's avoid it. But he also seems to, while avoiding conflict, he also seems to internalize a lot of those uncomfortable moments. So whenever he was being overwhelmed by those moments, you could just see him balling up his fist and just shaking, or, grabbing at his shorts, grabbing at his clothes and whatnot, grabbing at his thighs, and he's channeling all of, because he doesn't want to accidentally burst out and yell. He doesn't want to accidentally say something wrong. He doesn't want to, upset anybody or make matters worse. So he's just internalizing all of these feelings, and he's just like, if I just hold on tight, if I just hold on a little bit longer, the moment will pass. The moment will pass, and once the moment's passed, we can just move on and it'll be over. And yeah, so he's just kind of internalizing all of this negativity. But what happens when you do that is eventually you soak it in, 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 you soak it in. You run out of places to soak it in. Your sponge gets full, okay? Your sponge is all full of negativity, and eventually your sponge, it's just gonna start leaking out. It's gonna start oozing out, and eventually it's gonna be like someone goes to pick you up and it just shoots all over the place. Giggity. But like, it's just, I get it, I relate. So I liked how they were illustrating Gav's tension building emotions, where not only was he like physically showing these signs, but like the audio would also get very far away. Like he wasn't paying attention to the specifics of what was being said. He wasn't listening to the things being said at that point. He just heard fighting, he heard arguing, he heard all this negativity around him, and it was just like, it's very, very, very well done. But yeah, like I was saying, the more I saw Susan, the less I liked her character, and the less I was willing to be on her, not necessarily be on her side, but try and see things from her angle. But what she did give us is that little nugget of information about Aunt Myra, which I was wondering who kept calling Gav, and Gav kept ignoring and whatnot. I was like, first I thought maybe Aunt Myra was warning her that Susan was coming, but no, she was just trying to convince him more to come over. So yeah, one thing I like a lot of things about this movie, but yeah, one thing I liked about this movie is that we got a lot more backstory and building on Gav's world and just things with him, because I feel like the first season we got a little touches of Gav, and you know, especially there towards the end of the first season, we got to see more humanity from him, because for the first half he was just this perfect boyfriend with this, he's just perfect everything. So we got to see more humanity from him, but we still didn't know a lot. We knew he had his grandmother who passed, and his parents died when he was young. He used to date Pearl, and that's all we really got. It was really more Kai centric when we got like background information. Kai and his family, Paris who's always sleeping. Maybe in the next second season Paris's ass will wake up for once. Who knows? And then, you know, chronicling Gav and Kai's relationship, but we didn't get a whole lot of Gav backstory. So I like that we got to fill in some more of these pieces for Gav in this movie. A couple more family members. I like the addition of Aunt Myra, and it just shows the level of importance that Kai took in Gav's life, because before quarantine, Gav was ready to move. He was ready to go over there and live there because, like, for whatever reason. But then Kai came along and he caught feelings, and yeah. So, but you know, shortly after that whole blow up, Susan left and she didn't come back. I wasn't sure if Susan was gonna come back for any particular reason or not, because, like I said in my reaction, I saw pretty much all the scenes that I thought were shown in the preview, so I wasn't sure if she was gonna come back for any more drama to stir up or whatever, or to apologize or to make amends or whatever. But nope, she just came in to be awful and then drop a bomb and then leave. So I guess we'll have to see if anything more development that comes with her in the second season. And then yeah, we had the whole Achilles, Terrence, Wes triangle thing, whatever. Like I mentioned before, I like the idea of Wes and Achilles together. Not Achilles. I like the idea. Well, sure, why not? They're all hot. But I like the idea of Wes and Terrence together. Something about their characters, I don't know. I just like those characters together in a sense. Will it work? Will it last long? I don't know. But for now, I like them together. And when I reacted to episode 13.5, like, I was worried about Achilles because I really like Achilles, and I mentioned that his character is a character that it's different from the other guys in this series. He had a little bit more flamboyancy, a little bit more just outlandishness, and his face is gorgeous. His face is so gorgeous. Oh my god, he has one of the most gorgeous faces. Ugh. But like, I love his character, and he seems like such a sweetheart, such a personality, and I was worried that he was going to get his feelings hurt by Terrence with the whole Terrence West thing. And lo and behold, that's what ended up happening. So it seems like they made some level of amends throughout the movie, which is nice. I didn't get as much development in the Wes Terrence love thing as I would have liked, but you know, maybe we're saving some of that for the actual season, so we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, that whole once they had that, they were having that fight by the pool, once Achilles realized that Terrence was there with Wes, and they were going at it, and Gav finally just reached that boiling point where he broke down. Like, I feel like that was so well handled, so well done, just to see it. And honestly, like, if they didn't have all of that sort of like echoey voice thing happening with him and Gav just broke out crying, like, the scene still would have worked. I might have been a little confused, like, girl, what happened? But I feel like it was just so well done. They set up that narrative throughout the movie, and at that point, like, he had his limit, he had his breaking point, and all he could do was just cry. Not that it was anything related to what, you know, Terrence and Wesley and Achilles were going through. It had nothing to do with them. It's just the fact that they were there and arguing just added more frustration, more fuel to that fire, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That was just that little bit that pushed him over the edge, and he just had his breakdown, and he just needed to get out of there. So I'm glad that he let Kai in, because in those kind of moments, it's very easy to just want to run away and just want to be by yourself. I get it. And I was afraid that he was going to just shut Kai out at that particular point. And I know Kai a lot of times felt kind of helpless. Like when he was talking to Pearl, and he's like, I'm worried about Gav and whatnot. And then even after the whole initial blow up with Susan, and he was like bringing him the coffee and just laying in bed and trying to cuddle with him. Like, it's those moments where it's like, you can see Gav is distraught, and Kai wants to be there for him. Kai wants to take care of him. He wants to help, but he doesn't necessarily know how, and feeling a little bit helpless. So the same kind of thing when he was outside the car. He's like, I'm here for you, and I want you. I want to be here for you. I'm not gonna let you go through this alone. And it's kind of like, hey, I went through all this stuff back in season 1, and you wouldn't leave me the hell alone. So the last thing I'm gonna do is leave you alone in this. You are not alone in this. We are in this. We're all in this together. You know, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I just need you to let me in. Let me help you. So Gav did, and it was beautiful. They had that beautiful day at the beach, which is exactly what Gav needed. They had conversation. They talked, and they got things out. And it was just like, hey, whatever you decide, I'm here for you. So if you need to go to New York to be with your aunt, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I love you. You love me. We'll figure it out. Love will find a way. Love will find. Sorry, everything's got a song in my head. And then yeah, you know, we had beautiful moment with them singing at each other for the little fundraiser thing. That was so super duper cute and emotional. And then sexy time finally happened, and I'm like, okay, I see y'all, yes God, praise Jesus. And like at first I'm like, I don't know if I should be looking. I don't like, because you know we're these are my babies. Like yes, they are beautiful men. And there's nothing I love more than watching beautiful men, you know, get to know each other biblically. I said that in the preview when I reacted to that. But like, still, they're my babies. And I'm like, oh, this is like their first time together. It's not Gav's first time. I feel like Gav done stuff. But this is their first time together. And I feel like this is Kai's first time. At least it's his first time being on a receiving end of things. So that whole first time experience, it's not necessarily always the most pleasant experience to go through, so I'm told. I would very much like my first time to be romantic like this because I'm a virgin. Y'all can say whatever y'all want, but I'm saving myself for Jesus, okay? But I feel like the scene, it felt real, and like you could see the sort of level of uncomfortability in Kai when things were doing the thing, and then because well, if you're not used to it, it can be uncomfortable. But then you know, Gab did very amazing things. Just grabbed the hand, slammed it down, and we just grasped fingers, and it's just that sort of distraction thing. You sort of distracting until things ease up, things relax, and you can enjoy the ride, so to speak. So I feel like that scene is very well done. And then we just like flip flop, and Kai's like, okay, my turn. I'm like, okay, come on, Team Verse, I'm here for it. Yeah, let's go ahead, get y'all's. It was very, very well done. Overall, it was just a very, very sweet movie. And just when I was sitting here thinking to myself, like we're making it to the end, I'm sitting here thinking to everyone saying goodbye, we're taking a selfie, and I sat here and thought to myself, like, this was a good movie, but it wasn't the emotional journey or the emotional gut punch that I was expecting to get. Like, yes, there were some emotional scenes in the movie. Anytime Gav cried, oh my god, like when he found out that Aunt Mira had cancer, and the breakdown crying we've seen in the preview, like, oh my god. And then when he ran off to the car, like so many moments where there was so much amazing acting from all of them, and just great emotional moments. But I didn't get overly emotional watching them, if that makes sense. Like, things for the most part felt light. So I was sitting here thinking to myself, this was a really good movie, not the emotional gut punch I was expecting to get, but still really, really good. And then the last 3 minutes of the movie happened, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. Just fuck my feelings, right?
Fuck my drag, right?
Fuck my feelings. Like, Lord. That last scene, when we panned through the entire house slowly and just showing how everything was put back in its place. Everything was empty. No one was there. No signs of life. And the two of them packing up their separate cars and just like, okay, this is it. You're going to go your way. I'm going to go my way. No looking back. I love you. No looking back. Countdown. As soon as they started counting down from 3, I'm like, oh my god. And then Hong Kong Sahuli started playing, because I was sitting here wondering the whole time. I'm like, y'all showed it in the previews. Y'all, this is like practically been the theme song of the damn movie since y'all showed me this trailer back in May, and y'all haven't played this song in the movie once. Like, what's going on? I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like an end credit type movie. And then they start counting down and they start playing the instrumental of it. I'm like, oh god, y'all are coming for me right now. Y'all are coming for my feelings right now. Y'all are coming for me. And then they got in the cars and I'm like, oh man, they didn't look back. And then Kai's like, I wonder if he's looking back. And Gav's just, that whole exchange and the I love you more, I love you. I'm like, oh Jesus, no, don't do this to me. So when I say that the movie didn't really hit me or give me the emotional gut punch, what I mean is that yes, it was very, very highly emotional, but while I could empathize with the emotion that was going on screen, I can empathize with everything that was happening there, and it made me feel things, it didn't hit me in a personal way. Like, it didn't hit me in a way that made me want to have this outpouring of emotion until the last 3-5 minutes, like I mentioned. The whole, goodbye sequence, and even leading up to the goodbye between Gav and Kai, when everybody was, saying their goodbyes, and we were panning through the house and all that kind of stuff. Like, that whole sequence, that's what hit me the hardest emotionally, just because I'm the type of person who is very, very, very bad at saying goodbye to people. It's just always how I've been. I've been a very sentimental person in general, and even if it's not a permanent goodbye or anything like that, still, like, I remember probably like 6-7 years ago at this point or whatever, one of my best friends, Philip, who was living up in Michigan at the time, he and I had never met in person. We had met online, and we just became great friends, and we've been friends for years and years and years at this point. And we decided, well, we gotta meet at some point. So either he gotta come down here or I gotta go up there. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna make the decision, I'm gonna go up there. So I went up there, flew up there, stayed with him and his fiance at the time, and his cousin Nate, who I love you, Nate. And we had a great time. Fantastic time. They showed me around Michigan, and it was so much fun. And then when it was time for me to leave, Phil dropped me off at the airport, and okay, that was fine. We said our goodbyes out at the drop off outside, and that was pretty much it. He said goodbye, I said goodbye, we hugged goodbye and whatnot. I was really kind of reserved at the moment. I don't know, I just kind of kept everything very stoic and reserved at the moment. And for whatever reason, I don't really understand. But after I got into the airport and, he drove off, I went to the bathroom and I just started crying. And I do not know why. Because it's not like I was saying goodbye forever. It's not like I was dying or he was dying or I was never going to see him again or anything like that. I don't know. Like, I just got so emotional at the thought of just saying goodbye. I was just getting on a plane going home, but I got hella emotional, and I still don't completely understand. And that's not the only instance where things like that have happened. Like I remember a time when the first time I did Hairspray, Hairspray the musical, and like the show was closing, we had cast party and whatnot after the fact, and I remember leaving the cast party and just crying in my car. And I'm like, it's not that I made like all of these amazing emotional connections with these people. Like there are a couple people who are still my very good friends to this day, but like overall it's not like I had this super duper emotional connection with everyone in the cast. So why I got so emotional leaving and saying goodbye, I don't know. I'm just a terribly emotional person sometimes. I've gotten better though. I've gotten much better at it, especially when people are toxic. When people are toxic as fuck, I will dismiss them. I've gotten very good at that. I've made some good dismissals in my time. I'm proud of some of the dismissals I've made to those people. But yeah, like sometimes I just get hella emotional saying goodbye, even when it's just a casual, well, not like, if it's people I see all the time, that's fine. But like, I don't know, sometimes I just get hella emotional saying goodbye. So that scene hit me really hard. That's the scene that I felt the most because I related to the most. That whole having to say goodbye thing and getting emotional. And you could just see the emotional weight in all of the characters. Terrence, when he was saying goodbye to Gav and Kai and he hugged both of them by the neck, and then he came back and he just lingered looking at each of them, and it was just like, oh, just his eyes said everything you needed to say. And then when they were trying to hug Pearl goodbye, and she's like, mm-mm. And she's like, mm-mm. And then they ran in to hug her, like, God, like, just the emotion, because like they've been like this ragtag gang of, you know, this group of kids at camp together. Like she is the president of their fan club, and you know, she's one of the reasons why they're together. She facilitated them getting together, and like they've just been like this trio, this threesome that's just been so amazing and conquering the world. And now each of them are going their own ways. Pearl's going back to home, Kai is going to, you know, Bukit Nan, and Gav's going over to New York, and it's just like they're all going their separate ways. And it's just, even though yes, they'll see each other again at some point in time, they don't know when, and that level of uncertainty, and yes, like they have all the means to stay in contact. Like they have all the social media, all the video chat, so it's not like they can't see each other, but still, it's just that the act of saying goodbye is just, it tears my heart out sometimes. So that then compounded with Gav and Kai's goodbye, compounded with Hanggang Sahu Lee in the background, compounded with them stopping the car and getting back out and screaming across, I love you more, you're the only one I ever loved, oh, I'm gonna love you forever and ever, you're so stupid, you're so silly, or you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know it. And just like, ugly cry, stop it. Like, yeah. So that's what I meant there. I didn't mean that the rest of the movie wasn't emotional or wasn't well done when it came to the emotion. It was. Like, you could see particular moments where I started to get a little teary-eyed, or, you know, start to fan myself whenever the actual reaction to the movie comes out. But yeah, the movie was well done and the emotional level was well done. There was a lot of emotional weight to the movie, but none of those scenes really resonated with me personally until we got to that last 5 minutes, and that's what got me. That is what hit me the hardest because of my personal experiences. That's what that meant. Okay. Like, that was the moment in the movie where, like, they just took a knife and they just stabbed me right in the feels, and I'm just like, I can't with this movie. I can't with this. Like, and suddenly the reason that they chose Hanggang Sahu Lee makes all the sense in the world. Because, like, I know there are a lot of people wondering, like, you know, why would they choose this as a trailer if they're meant to stay together, whatnot, like, what's going on? Are they going to break up in the movie or whatever? So obviously they didn't break up, but the song makes worlds of sense now, and it's just, yeah, that last 3 minutes got me. So overall, it was a really, like I said, a really good addition to the Gameboys universe. I wish we got some more development with Terrence and Wes. I wish maybe we got even some more development with Achilles. Pearl was, you know, here being her normal supporting Pearl self. We didn't get too much. although she's not in this particular series, she's not too much. We don't develop her character too much. She's very much that cheerleader and that, you know, mediator, and she facilitates Gav and Kai being together. In her show, we got all the development and all the feels and whatnot, but here she's pretty much that sort of character who just facilitates Gav and Kai. So it's fine, I guess, that we didn't get too much development from her. But I would have loved to get development from the other guys' relationships, but I guess we'll save that for the actual season. One thing that I didn't touch on, which I remember thinking to myself while watching it, was the cinematography. Oh my god, the cinematography of this movie was so good, so well done. Like, it was this nice balance where they were somehow able to maintain the integrity of the series, which was, you know, all shot on phones and whatnot. They were somehow able to maintain that integrity when they were shooting those sequences on the phones to make it look still like it was on a phone, but it still had this sort of polish to it. But then when they weren't on the phones, like it was this seamless transition between when they were doing like phone sequences to non-phone sequences. Like it wasn't like this jarring cut, like, oh, I've got cell phone quality now versus I've got real life quality. Like, it was this nice seamless transition, and it just looked beautiful. The cinematography was beautiful. There was so much use of, in the daytime scene, so much use of natural light. And I've mentioned this when I was reacting to a number of Thai series I've reacted to recently. Why Are You? I Told Sunset About You, I Promised You the Moon. They have great use of natural light and just like almost these scenes where the characters are overexposed, or like they might have like a lot of white in the room and then they have all this natural light, so everything just seems so like, it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So here they had a lot of natural light just peeking through the house. Beautiful house, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I love the use of that. Another thing I noticed is in the preview, that whole kitchen scene where Kai comes out and, you know, he straddles his baby and he's like, oh, baby, mama says I can stay a little bit longer. And then they fall to the floor wrestling and tickling, all that cute, all the feels. That wasn't in the movie. Wasn't in the movie. Wasn't nowhere in the movie. So I don't know if that scene was like something that got left on the cutting room floor. Maybe it's a deleted scene. Maybe there's something they'll throw in when they kept mentioning a DVD box set. People kept asking about the DVD box set in the Q&A session. So I don't know if that's something that's actually on the horizon, but if it is, I'll take 6. But I'll take 7. Hashtag 7-incher ICUS. But like, I don't know if it was a deleted scene for some reason, or if that was just something included into the preview just to give us some information or to give us a reasoning why Kai was around for so long. Because at the end of the episode, or at the end of, you know, episode 13, he was, I think, supposed to stay like a week or something. He was only supposed to be like a week. But when we came into the movie, it seemed like he had been there for a substantially longer amount of time. So we didn't get that scene in the movie, but obviously if you watched the preview, you saw the scene, so that's kind of an explanation there. So I don't know the reasoning why it wasn't in the movie, but it's just something I noticed. While I'm talking about the series, there were a few references to the series and just the Gameboys universe in general, the GBU, hashtag GBU, that I noticed. And I'm sure there's probably more that I didn't pick up on, and when I watch it again next week, because I think the next international screening is next either Friday or Saturday, one of the two, so obviously got my ticket for that. But when I watch it again, I'll probably do another one of these videos with other things that I saw, because from the Q&A session, apparently there's things upon things upon things that I need to go back and see, so I'll probably make another one of these videos next week. But the push-up count, that was the first thing I saw earlier in the movie, when after they had their day of, you know, Gav teaching Kai how to cook, and then Gav teaching Kai how to do laundry and all this kind of stuff. Like, they were laying in bed and like, oh, so tired, so tired. And Kai's like, well, I'm not that tired. And they had whatever little conversation, and then Gav is like, well, you know, the day's not done yet. And then he hops on top of him, and he's like, and Kai's like, no, stop it, Gav. No, I couldn't possibly. No, never. Why are you doing this to me? Oh, and, you know, totally playing into it. And then Gav's like, well, you know, we don't have to do anything. I could just sit here and do push-ups. And then he starts doing the whole push-up count, that 1, 2, and it's kind of like a throwback to when, I forget which episode it was, but obviously Gav was doing push-ups and Kai was supposed to be his counter, and Kai, you know, slipped on the counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean 6. So Gav did that same thing. There's a cute little reference. Obviously, we got the screen names from 13.5 Alter Gameboys, Mr. Boredom and 7-Incher when Wes and Terrence came into the picture. And then in Pearl's live cast, one of her live casts, I did see, and I did scream them out too. Alex, Carlene, Fonzie, whatever, they were showing up in the, you know, the comment section of her live chat and whatnot. I was like, oh, cool, yes, I love them, I miss them, let's bring them back. And yeah, so I'm sure there are other, you know, little references and whatnot that probably happened throughout the movie that I missed out on, but like I said, I'm gonna watch the movie again next week, and we'll see what else I find. There were, speaking of the live Q&A session, that was a lot of fun. That was definitely a wise choice on my part, because like, I saw the two kinds of tickets. Yeah, the regular tickets and then tickets that included the, you know, special Q&A and whatnot. And the price difference didn't really seem like that big of a difference. I'm like, yeah, give me the special Q&A. Hell, let's do this. And it was such a wise decision. I was actually chit-chatting with Synergic a little bit on Twitter while it was going on. And I had mentioned that after I watched the movie, because I had been at work since like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was tired at that point. Like, yes, the movie was fantastic. I loved the movie, but I got all my feels out. I got all my, you know, emotions out, all my thoughts out, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for bed. But I'm like, oh, I got this. I have this Q&A. I have to go watch it, whatnot. So I was tired going into it, but literally 5 minutes into that Q&A, I was renewed. I had my life given to me again, and I was energized. I was ready to go for the rest of the night. It was so much fun. It was such a good experience. So they said that they're going to do another Q&A with even more spoilers, more tea, after the next international screening, which I think is August 7th. So if you didn't get a ticket with the Q&A access for this screening, and you have the ability to get a ticket with the Q&A access for, you know, after the next international screening, do it. Trust me, it is such a worthwhile experience. Even if you don't say anything in the chat, you just sit there and watch. I had me the dandiest time. Every once in a while I would interject, because some of the reactions from some of the castmates and some of the things that were being said, it tickled me. I was tickled. I was tickled pink. But even if you don't respond or say anything, you just sit there and watch. It is a good time. It was such a good time. But Yvonne Direct, he mentioned that there were a number of Easter eggs in the film, you know, things that could allude to season 2. And he mentioned specifically in the last scene, he's like, what was in the last scene that could be, you know, a reference to season 2 or something like that. I don't know, something along those lines. And then I'm like, I don't know. So I went back and watched the last scene, and I don't know. I can't see it right now. Or I couldn't see it then, because like the stream had, when you bought the ticket, it was like a 3-hour span or 3-hour window that you could stream the movie. So obviously, right when it started, I watched the movie, then I recorded, you know, my after takes, and right after that, I jumped into the live chat. But I still had like, I think like a half hour or something, or hour some when the chat started, that I could still watch the movie. So as the live chat Q&A was going on, like I was scrubbing back through trying to find things and trying to see things. So that whole last scene, I watched it over again. I didn't see any Easter eggs, but then again, I don't know what I'm looking for. So I don't know. Maybe I have to go through and watch the season again. I don't know if my emotions can deal with that. And then watch the movie next week with my new ticket, and like, I don't know, but he claims there are Easter eggs all over, and then that, if y'all have seen Egg Hunt or Easter Egg Hunt or Terrence's eggs floating around Twitter, that this is where this came from, because I don't remember the exact wordage or something, but at some point someone mentioned Terrence, or maybe it was Terrence mentioned. I don't know. I wasn't looking at the screen specifically at that point, but someone mentioned something about Terrence's eggs, and the whole cast got a big old laugh out of it, and that became a talking point for the rest of the chat. The rest of the chat, we were talking about Terrence and his eggs, and I'm like, okay. And even Kyle was chiming in about, the color of the eggs, or the shape of the eggs or something. I don't remember exactly, but all I know is this cast was being naughty the entire chat, and I was here for it. I'm like, yes, it is a beautiful love story, but y'all are adults, and I love that y'all are talking like adults, because Lord, yes. So the whole Easter egg thing, like, yes, we're hunting for Easter eggs that might be alluding to season 2, but the eggs I'm hunting for Terrence's eggs, okay? Because I did not mention it when I was reacting to the movie, in the scene where he was having a nightmare, because I felt like it wasn't appropriate for the scene that was happening. But my eyes noticed things. But when he was laying there on the couch and he was having his nightmare, and Kai and Gav came to wake him up, like, oh, blah, blah, and they were comforting him. When he was laying down, I was noticing some fullness in the areas of the pants. I was noticing some fullness happening there, and I was like, okay. But again, he was having a bad dream. He's dealing with, being closeted and family and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, right now is not the appropriate time for those kind of, thoughts or comments. So I'm gonna keep that to myself. But my eyes noticed things. And then even when the whole scene where he was jogging and Wes was jogging after him and whatnot, like, he knows how to fill out some shorts. That's all I'm gonna say. Kyle can fill some shorts out very, very nicely. So whether those are the Easter eggs moments that we're supposed to be looking for, I don't know, but those are the Easter egg moments my eyes noticed right off the bat. But you bet your ass I'm gonna be watching the movie again and looking for some other Easter egg moments, seeing does something fall out at some point. I don't know. And I also did mention, when they were on the couch watching, I mentioned the man spreading. It wasn't like very aggressive man spreading, but it was a slight little man spread where, you still had a little taint served up on a platter. I'm like, okay, I see you man spreading. And then, Wes came around and he started doing a little man. I'm like, I see you man spreading. And so I wasn't mad at any of that. But yes, Terrence's eggs, I'm a look out for those. Praise Jesus. Other things I was reminded of in the live chat, some of my favorite quotes or references. Well, one was a reference, one was just a quote from the movie. But when Gav and Kai were on the video chat with Achilles, and they were being all romantic and sweet, sickly sweet and all this kind of stuff, and Achilles like, ew, right in front of my salad. I'm like, yes, y'all better give me this reference, and they brought it up. Another thing they brought up in the Q&A, which was another fun moment, because someone was asking where that not where the reference was coming from, but how did it make it into the movie, and was it, were they aware of where it came from, blah, blah, blah. So they had the writer Ash in the Q&A as well, and he mentioned, it was just a fun time. He mentioned, knowing where it came from, and I think he had to let Yvonne, know where it wasn't just a meme. He let him know where exactly that came from, and he had to send him the link, and, they were having a good time. And then Adriana's face when Ash said where it came from, and she realized where this meme scene came from. Her face was priceless. It was so amazing. It gave me all my life. I was so tickled. It made me so happy. Like, she just seemed so shocked, and I was like, yes. So that was a lot of fun. And then there was also talks of the scene with Wes and Terrence. Again, the movie man spreading scene and all that kind of stuff, because there was a lot of back and forth with them in this movie. But that one scene where they were watching the movie and they were, just hashing some stuff out, and we finally got a little bit of information about what was going on between them, because all I knew was that Terrence showed up out of the blue and Wesley seemed not pleased with him, and I was confused because the last time we saw Wesley and Terrence in 13.5, they were all on good terms. So we got a little bit of backstory there about how, Wes wasn't necessarily ready to commit to anything, and he was all flirty, and then he just kind of vanished, kind of ghosted Terrence, and Terrence, felt let on. But, they were going back and forth, and, Terrence said something along the lines of, you're so stupid for being a genius. And then Wes fired back with, you're so sexy when you're mad. And I'm like, oh, y'all, praise Jesus. And then Terrence done pushed Wesley up against this wall, and I was like, praise Jesus, praise Jesus. Y'all know I love me a good wall push. Y'all know I love me a good push up against the wall. Praise Jesus, Daddy. Yes, God. So when he pushed him up against the wall, Wes is like, what do you do? And Terrence is like, well, this is what you want, isn't it? Let's go upstairs. And then at the same time, Gavin and Kai were in the background. They made some kind of noise, or someone noticed that they were there, and they were just like, whoop, gotta go, bye. And I'm like, you know what? Same girl. You ain't gotta go nowhere. Y'all can stay and watch. It's fine. Y'all can join. So I don't know if anything actually ended up happening with Terrence and Wes at that point. Once they went up to the room, I don't know, but just that whole exchange there was fun. I enjoyed it. And of course, Wes and Terrence, my Western Union, that scene with them on the balcony with the coffee and the sunrise and the hand holding, so beautiful. So beautiful. Just the way the whole conversation went down, and then just the way the hand just kind of whoop, and then whoop, and all of a sudden we holding it. I'm like, yes. So sweet. I loved it. And like, I know in my original commentary, I mentioned how I wish that I had gotten a little bit more development from their characters, and how we didn't get as much as I thought I was going to get. But in hindsight, and watching the Q&A, and going back through my mindset, and thinking through all these moments that happened, I'm like, we actually did get a fair amount of development for this couple. So I'll rescind that comment. I'm actually fine with the development we got with them as a couple. Could we have gotten more? Absolutely, sure. But we actually did end up getting a lot of moments with them that, like I mentioned at the top of my commentary, or top of my original recorded Topher's Thoughts, usually I'll pause things or longer periods of things that I'm reacting to so I don't forget as much, because if I try to watch a whole thing and then react at the end, there's chances I'm going to forget stuff. So that's kind of what happened there. I watched through the entire movie because I didn't want to pause it and try to recollect everything that happened in the movie, and they're just things that fell out of my mind. So I'm glad that I dived into the Q&A and just had people remind me of all of these little moments that did happen. So there was a lot of good development for our Western Union, a lot of good little moments that they had there. And then let's talk about the goddess that is Pearl. That entrance into this movie, girl, Beyonce stepping out of this Range Rover or whatever the hell kind of car it is, with her mask, whipping her hair back and forth in the wind, and then CoverGirl face reveal. I'm like, you know what? You better work my last nerve, girl. Yes, God, praise Jesus. If that was not a superstar diva model moment, I don't know what. Like that is top model moment in the making. That is top model wet dream kind of moment right there. CoverGirl, yes, praise Jesus. Queen, I live. And then another thing that was brought up in the Q&A, when Elijah was talking, I forget what the question was, but Elijah was talking about how Yvonne was, directing them, and how emotionally, everything was feeling heavy. Everything needed to feel heavy, and it was just a heavy kind of emotional burden. And he spoke on how in addition to it being emotionally heavy, like Gav or Kokoi, he was also giving just like this physical weight to his performance. So, and there, when you go and watch, like, there's a lot of moments you can see when Kai is trying to comfort Gav. Gav is having these emotional breakdowns. He's crying, he's hysterical and whatnot, and Kai is trying to comfort him. Kai is almost always behind him, and he's holding him. He's trying to hold, and Gav is just full on surrender, releasing everything. He wants to fall to the ground and cry. He wants to fall to the ground and just break down, and Kai is back there holding him up. He's holding up his emotional and physical weight, and it's just a nice detail. It's a nice bit of detailing as far as the directing went. And I don't know if that you know, him falling to the ground and Kai constantly trying to hold him up was a director like, hey, this is your blocking, or if that was, you know, the director saying, I need you guys to have this sort of mentality, sort of a weight to you, and that was just the actors being amazing actors and feeding off of each other's energy to create that moment. I don't know how exactly those moments were created, but they were beautifully done, and it's just beautiful little detailing to echo the sentiment of, like, yes, the emotional weight is so heavy here to the point that it's weighing Gav down physically, and Kai is being that force to try and keep him up, and it's just very representative of their relationship. In the series, it was kind of roles reversed, where Kai was, you know, going through all these emotional moments and Gav was the one trying to keep him up, and now it's nice to see the, you know, flip-flop versatility in them. Speaking of flip-flop versatility, I probably already talked about this in my original Topher's thoughts, but yes, y'all know I love me a good versatile man. Praise Jesus, life is better on both sides of the fence. So that whole love-making sex scene, praise Jesus, Gav gave it to him, and then Kai turned around and was like, okay, I'm gonna give it right back to you, bam, 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 praise Jesus. I'm like, you know what, come on, verse Queens, I'm here for it. And yeah, and then that's pretty much most of the stuff that got left out in this point. Yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that got left out. Everything else is more or less included or has been already cut through my Topher's thoughts. So yeah. Anyway, back to the video. Mwah. And yeah, the scoring, the soundtrack on this was so well done. Emerson, he did his thing again with this soundtrack, and yeah, all in all, it was just a really, really good movie, a really good experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I knew I would, and yeah, this makes me excited for season 2. Whatever the hell that's gonna happen, I don't know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction/review. Again, once the movie is actually released, maybe on like streaming platforms like Netflix or whatever, and you know, it's not fresh on the market and, you know, behind paywalls and all that kind of stuff, I'll release my actual reaction to the movie with the movie, you know, scenes included. But for now, I'm just releasing my general thoughts and after that stuff. So for right now, hope you guys enjoyed this review. In a few months or so, whenever things get ready or are good to post, hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. But if you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications so you'll be notified when all my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, be sure to leave it down in the comments and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon. You don't have to, but you're more than welcome to if you want to. And ooh, I've got 1 minute. It is 10:29, and at 10:30 they sent me, because when I bought my tickets for the movie, I bought the VIP access to the Q&A session and whatnot, so that is going live in 1 minute. So I'm gonna go watch this. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. And before you guys go, a shout out to my amazing patrons. I can't begin to express how thankful I am for your support. And if you guys would like to join us over on Patreon, the link is down in the description. Love you guys.